The Light That Never Dies. Chapter 1. The Island of Shadows. The island was a speck of land in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by endless waves and shrouded in perpetual fog. Jacob had read about it in an old newspaper article, a place where the lighthouse still shone every night, even though its keeper had vanished 2 decades ago. The locals called it the light that never dies, and Jacob, ever the skeptic, had come to uncover the truth. The boat ride to the island was rough, the waves crashing against the hull as if trying to push him back. The fisherman who brought him, an old man with a face weathered by years at sea, had warned him not to go. "That lighthouse," the old man had said, his voice low and gravelly. "It's not right. The light, it's not for ships. It's for something else." Jacob had laughed it off at the time, but now, as he stepped onto the rocky shore, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. The air was thick with the smell of salt and decay, and the fog clung to him like a second skin. In the distance, the lighthouse loomed, its white paint peeling like dead flesh. The island itself was barren, with only a few gnarled trees clinging to life. The ground was rocky and uneven, making every step a challenge. As Jacob made his way toward the village, he noticed strange symbols carved into the rock circles within circles, with jagged lines radiating outward. They looked ancient, as if they had been there long before the lighthouse was built. Chapter 2. The Village of Whispers. The village was a cluster of weathered houses, their roofs sagging under the weight of years. The locals were few, their faces etched with lines of hardship and suspicion. As Jacob walked through the narrow streets, he felt their eyes on him, their whispers following him like shadows. "He's here for the lighthouse," someone muttered. "Fool, doesn't he know what happened to the last one?" Jacob approached a small tavern, its sign creaking in the wind. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of stale beer and smoke. The patrons fell silent as he entered, their eyes darting away as if he carried some unseen curse. "I'm looking for information about the lighthouse," Jacob said, addressing the room. "You're wasting your time," a voice replied. It belonged to a woman sitting in the corner, her face hidden in the shadows. "No one goes up there anymore, not since Samuel disappeared." Jacob sat down across from her, his curiosity piqued. "What happened to Samuel?" he asked. "He was the keeper," the woman said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But he wasn't just a man. He was chosen. The light, it's alive, and it needs a keeper to survive." Jacob leaned in closer. "Chosen? By whom?" "By the light," the woman replied. "It calls to those who are lost, those who have nothing left to lose. Samuel was one of them, and now it's calling to you." Chapter 3. The Keeper's Diary. Thomas, the old man from the village, led Jacob to the lighthouse. The path was overgrown, the trees leaning in as if trying to block their way. The lighthouse itself was a towering monolith, its walls cracked and stained with age. The door creaked open, revealing a dusty interior filled with old furniture and cobwebs. On a table near the stairs, Jacob spotted a leather-bound journal. He opened it, the pages crackling under his fingers. The handwriting was shaky, as if written in haste. The 12th of October. The light. It's not just a light, it's a barrier. I can feel it. Something is trying to get through. Something old. Something hungry. The 15th of October. The whispers are louder now. They're coming from the lens. They say they'll give me anything I want, but I know the price. The 20th of October. I can't leave. The light needs me. I am the keeper now, and the keeper must stay forever. Jacob's hands trembled as he closed the diary. He looked up at Thomas, who was staring at him with a knowing expression. "Told you," Thomas said. "Some things are better left alone." Chapter 4. The Light That Calls. That night, Jacob decided to stay in the lighthouse. He told himself it was for the story, but deep down, he couldn't deny the pull he felt toward the light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the beam from the lighthouse flickered to life, casting its glow across the dark waters. But something was wrong. The light wasn't steady. It pulsed like a heartbeat, and its color shifted from white to an eerie green. Jacob climbed the spiral staircase, his footsteps echoing in the empty tower. When he reached the top, he froze. The lens was spinning, but there was no one there to operate it. And then he heard Ita whisper, so faint he almost thought he imagined it. Jacob. He spun around, but the room was empty. The whisper came again, louder this time. Jacob, come closer. The voice was coming from the lens. Jacob stepped forward, his heart pounding. As he approached, the light intensified, bathing him in its green glow. And then he saw Ita's shadow moving within the light. It was humanoid, but its shape shifted and twisted, as if it were made of smoke. I've been waiting for you, the shadow said, its voice echoing in Jacob's mind. You can have anything you want. Wealth, fame, power. All you have to do is let me in. Jacob stumbled back, his breath coming in short gasps. He turned and ran down the stairs, the whispers following him all the way to the bottom. Chapter 5. The Keeper's Warning. The next morning, Jacob found himself back in the village. He hadn't slept, the whispers still echoing in his mind. He needed answers, and there was only one person who might have them: Thomas. He found the old man sitting on his porch, just as before. Thomas listened quietly as Jacob recounted what had happened. You've seen it then, Thomas said, his voice grave. The thing in the light. Samuel called it the Watcher. It's been trapped there for centuries, feeding on the souls of those who get too close. Samuel was the last keeper. He gave his life to keep it contained. But why? Jacob asked. Why would he do that? Because if the Watcher escapes, it won't stop at this island. It'll spread, consuming everything in its path. The light is the only thing holding it back. Jacob felt a chill run down his spine. He had come here for a story, but now he was part of something much bigger. Chapter 6. The Final Stand. That night, Jacob returned to the lighthouse. The light was pulsing again, its green glow casting long shadows on the walls. He climbed the stairs, his resolve hardening with each step. When he reached the top, the shadow was waiting for him. You've come back, it said, its voice dripping with malice. I knew you would. I'm not here to make a deal, Jacob replied. I'm here to stop you. The shadow laughed, a sound that sent shivers down Jacob's spine. It lunged at him, but Jacob dodged, grabbing the diary from his bag. He flipped to the last page, where Samuel had written a single sentence. The light must never go out. Jacob ran to the control panel and began flipping switches. The light flickered, then grew brighter, its beam cutting through the shadow like a knife. The creature screamed, its form dissolving into smoke. But as the light reached its peak, Jacob felt a searing pain in his chest. He looked down to see his hands beginning to fade, just like the shadow. The light needs a keeper, the shadow whispered, its voice fading. And now, it has you. Epilogue. The Light That Never Dies. The villagers say the light still shines every night, its beam cutting through the darkness. Sometimes, if you listen closely, you can hear whispers coming from the tower. And if you're brave enough to climb the stairs, you might see him, the new keeper, his face pale and his eyes filled with regret. But the light never goes out, and the Watcher remains trapped. And so, the story falls silent, but only for now. Because beyond this screen, another mystery is already unfolding. Another whisper is rising in the darkness. When it calls your name, will you dare to listen? Don't miss the next chilling tale. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The shadows are waiting, and they always come back for those who wander alone.